processing are describing the exact same phenomenon from two completely different historical and cultural starting points. One using the language of myth and cosmology, the other using the language of computational neuroscience. And the fact that these two traditions, separated by thousands of years and radically different methods of inquiry, arrive at such a similar description of the human condition is not a coincidence worth dismissing. It's worth taking seriously. This is where Sophia enters the picture, and understanding her role here requires setting aside any assumption that she's simply a mystical character. In an old religious story, in Gnostic tradition, Sophia represents the principle of wisdom, capable of piercing through the veil, not through force, not through external intervention, but through a very specific kind of inward attention, a willingness to look directly at the patterns generating your experience, rather than remaining unconsciously identified with them. This distinction matters enormously, because it reframes what awareness actually is. Most people assume awareness simply means paying more attention to what's happening around them, noticing more details in their environment. But the deeper meaning embedded in both the Gnostic tradition and modern cognitive science points somewhere more precise. Awareness of the predictive patterns themselves. The ability to notice not just what you're experiencing, but the underlying assumption generating that experience in the first place. This is an entirely different skill than ordinary attention, and it's genuinely difficult, because by definition, these predictive patterns were built specifically to operate below the threshold of conscious awareness, running efficiently in the background precisely so your conscious mind doesn't have to consciously process every single sensory detail from scratch in every moment. Sophia, symbolically, represents the capacity to make the invisible visible, to bring these background predictions into the light of conscious inspection. And this is precisely the mechanism modern therapeutic and contemplative practices are independently rediscovering through completely different vocabulary. Terms like metacognition, the ability to think about your own thinking, or cognitive diffusion, the ability to observe a thought or belief without being completely fused with it, as if it were simply an accurate, unquestionable fact. Here's where this becomes deeply personal rather than abstract, because these